Punjab Kings fielding falls to levels that's difficult to explain and pushes them down to the second spot on the points table. Pat Cummins' bowling intelligence comes to the fore, while Priyansh Arya has a short ball problem. All this and a lot more in today's episode of the 23rd Yard Club Cricket Podcast. It was the last ball of SRH innings, and the lights at the Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium in Hyderabad went off for a couple of seconds. The play was halted for a few seconds before resuming again as the lights came back on. Sitting somewhere in the dugout, I thought a thought might have passed through Punjab coach Ricky Ponting's mind. I would have caught better in my day without the lights on than my team did today during the game with the lights on. And if it was Shashank Singh in two of their previous game in which he dropped 4 catches, last night 4 more chances were frittered away in a single game, which included Shashank himself. All 4 of them sitters. Making it worse for Punjab was SRH's fielding in the first 3 quarters of their chase, where they caught everything, including a couple of challenging ones, 2 by Pat Cummins, for which he even won the Man of the Match award, obviously to go with his bowling. And that proved to be the difference between the two sides. Towards the end, Hyderabad's fielding obviously fizzled away a little bit, but by then the result was all but a foregone conclusion. Some might even say that the margin of Hyderabad's win could have been a lot more than the 33 runs they eventually won by, and it could hurt their chances if it ever came down to the net run rate. Now, can't disagree with that sentiment, but here's a team that has won 6 of their previous 7 matches, so we can cut them some slack for sure. Coming back to the fielding issues, it's tough to look beyond that because this wasn't your typical go out there and hit it from the ball one sort of a surface. The length balls were holding on to the surface, and if the bowlers found their lengths with the slower cutters as well, they were difficult to hit too. You needed to spend some time on the pitch, and only then you could start playing your shot, especially when the ball got older. Even normally, batters usually take a ball or two these days to get going. And we're talking about a time where 240 gets chased down. But this was that kind of a surface where hitting through the line wasn't always the easiest, which is why that run of 4 missed chances between the 8th, 9th over and the 11th over cost them way more heavily than any normal missed chances would on a decent batting surface. It not only allowed the batters at the crease, which is Klassen and Ishan Kishan, to add all those runs that they did, it also meant that Punjab bowlers missed on those chances to add dot balls early in the new batter's innings, which means that it becomes a lot more tough to blame the bowlers for the batting carnage that preceded and followed that 4-over period. A carnage that allowed Hyderabad to get to 235 on a pitch where even 200 might have been a challenging score, would have made for an interesting contest. I recently heard of a medical term while browsing through YouTube for medical videos, and went by idiopathic. And I was watching a health-related video. Idiopathic describes a disease condition or a symptom that arises spontaneously with no known or identifiable cause. This is the definition. Punjab's fielding seem idiopathic in nature because different fielders have been putting down simple catches at a ground where the opponent takes all their catches with ease, which becomes a little difficult to explain now, isn't it? Now, at the toss, when asked about how the surface looked, SRH skipper Pat Cummins said that he did not read pitches too well. Probably said that in joke. And all of them looked like high-scoring ones, which has been the case this season. Cummins might not read pitches too well, but he sure can read batters brilliantly because it didn't take him too long to understand that even on a slightly two-pace surface, Priyansh Arya looked vulnerable to pace and bounce bowled around the off and middle stump line. Cummins set up the wicket very intelligently too. He tested out Arya with a bouncer, which the batter missed. The third man was called into the circle. He sent the fielder at mid-on back to long-on to signal his intention of trying to complete the over with one pitched on a goodish kind of a length and, you get a single and you end a good over. Instead, he surprised Arya with another accurate bouncer that the batter tried to flash yet again. But he ended up holing out to the deep square-leg fielder who had been positioned from the very beginning of the first over just for that. It also helped that Ishan Malinga, who was a fielder, pocketed a catch that could have easily been put down by a Punjab Kings fielder, and all that tactical setup could have amounted for nothing. Cummins has definitely been watching Arya bat in more recent games too. In their previous game against Gujarat Titans, Arya faced 2 balls, just 2 balls, both of them from Siraj, both of them which was short in nature. The first one had Arya getting cramped and playing one very disconcertingly, top edging it close to the keeper Josh Butler. He survived that. The second was a wider one, which Arya crashed to the offside, only to be caught at square third man. 2 balls, one awkwardly played and dismissed of the second. Even before that was a game against Rajasthan Royals. Arya had gotten off to a bit of a start, but then question marks began to show up in Archer's second over. Archer's first delivery at Arya had climbed up and took an edge, but there was no slip to catch him. And even Riyan Parag, the captain, was surprised to see that there was no slip. A slip came in. The second ball was equally nasty and short, and it took Arya some effort to keep it away. The third was pitched up, which Arya failed to connect, probably down to him expecting the ball to rear up yet again. He was not expecting that fuller one. There was no respite for Arya even after that, who got another snorter next delivery, which he edged this time and was dropped by Jaiswal in the slips, tipped it over the bar. And of the fifth, Archer pitched it up yet again. This was the second time he had pitched it up. Arya's weight was all on his back foot. His desire was to hit it like he has been doing all season, but this time with no stable base, he ended up holding a catch to mid-on. So that's 3 innings in a row now that Arya has been troubled and dismissed by either a pacey back of a length ball or by deliveries which have followed those kind of balls. Punjab play Delhi next after a bit of a gap, and it would be very interesting to see if they can get Lungi Ngidi to try and test this tactic out against him, or even get Kyle Jamieson in. He was not a part of the 11 in the last game, because he has that natural ability to hit the deck and get that disconcerting bounce. One way or the other, Arya will need to start working on ways to play those snorters, including, as was discussed during the TV comms yesterday, for him to get onto the leg side of the ball and try and hit it through the offside. Now that's even if there's a square fielder deep out there, that could be a better option. Punjab are now on a 3-match losing streak, and they will hope to get things back on track by the time they get to that Delhi fixture, especially now that they know that the IPL playoff schedule has 3 matches at Mulanpur and Dharamshala, their home venues. That's that from me. Let me know what you think about Sunrisers Hyderabad run to the top of the table, Punjab's fielding issues, and if Priyansh Arya can come roaring back in the rest of the season with some blazing knocks again. And yes, please do subscribe to the channel. Till next time, bye-bye.